For the most part this past week, President Trump has been working behind the scenes to fulfill one of his biggest campaign promises, repealing and replacing Obamacare. That left the public spotlight to House Speaker Paul Ryan, who went as far as rolling up his sleeves and making his case with charts and graphs. We sat down with the Speaker yesterday, and he told us he was excited about the reaction to the bill.
You have conservative governors, you have conservative members of the House, you have AARP, the American Medical Association, American Hospital Association, the Health Insurance Lobby, all coming out against this. You're pleased with the reaction. The reaction has been awful.
I would say the reaction has been awful. I think the reaction is everybody wants to compare this to Obamacare as if they can keep these guarantees going, as if we're going to have Obamacare plans and we're just going to finance it a different way. This is repealing and replacing Obamacare. So this first part is very, very important. It repeals the entire fiscal pieces of the law and replaces it with patient-centered system. And the point is, a lot of people who you just mentioned, I think they'd like to see us continue to make Americans buy what we say they should buy. We don't agree with that.
But these are critics of yours coming from the conservative side.
Look, when you're a governing party getting consensus among your wide big tent party, not everybody doesn't get what they want, but we're getting much better policy here. Let me put it this way. Obamacare is collapsing. If we just did nothing, washed our hands of the situation, we would see a further collapse of the health insurance markets. So we feel an obligation to step in front of that collapse and replace this law with one that works, that has more freedom. Some people would like it to be done a little bit differently. The point here, though, is we have an obligation. We made a promise to the people who elected us we would repeal and replace this law, and we basically said, this is what we would replace it with, and now we're keeping our word.
There have been so many people picking at different pieces who have issues about it, on your side, on the other side. Tom Cotton, Senator from Arkansas, Lindsey Graham, Senator from South Carolina, have both said, let's slow down. Why go so fast?
That's actually really puzzling to me. Why go so fast? Let me see. We ran for repeal and replace in 2010. We ran on repeal and replace in 2012, in 2014, in 2016. Oh, by the way, we spent 6 months last year developing a replacement plan. We ran on that replacement plan.
But these senators know that. They're not unfamiliar.
This has been a long and deliberative process. Suggesting that this is moving fast, going through 4 committees, going through regular order, saying we were going to do this for 7 years, and now coming to the point where we're actually on the cusp of keeping our word, I hardly think that that is rushing things. The point I'd say is this is historic. This is historic and it's significant. And if we don't act, the system's going to collapse. And the beautiful thing about this plan that we're proposing, it's more freedom, it's more choices, it's more markets, it's lower prices, which gets us better access.
But you said you ran on this. But that's like saying, someday we're going to buy a car. Now we're talking about the actual car. You're talking about the actual legislation.
Not only did we say someday we're going to buy a car, we said this is what the car is going to look like.
But all these analyses that are coming out now are based on actual legislation. Those weren't coming out while you were campaigning on it. There's actual details that are at issue here.
We said we were
on everything from tax credits to the individual mandate. All of that stuff is being debated afresh now in a way that totally wasn't true.
We want this kind of debate. This is a good debate to have.
If you pass a bill out of the House and it can't get 51 votes in the Senate, will you have accomplished something?
Well, I believe we can get 51 votes out of the Senate. Look, this is what the legislative process looks like. When you are going through a deliberative legislative process, not ramming and jamming things, but going through all the committees, going through the entire process, people are going to try and negotiate. People are going to say, I wish we could do this, let's do that. That's how legislation works. Negotiations and compromises occur when you're writing law, and what we're seeing and hearing is just that.
The president is he's our first marketer president. How helpful has he been in this, applying the marketer's skill to selling this?
He's been tremendously helpful, actually. He's been very helpful. He's been extremely engaged with various members of Congress. I talk to him constantly on this.
Has he given you advice on how to sell this?
Sure. And we talk, it's a very good collaboration. Everybody has been working on the same page, not rival plans, working together. So I'm actually really excited that we have a president fully engaged and fully committed to keeping his promise, the same promise we made to the people that elected us, and getting this done.
You said keeping his promise. He has promised a lot for this legislation. He said everybody will be covered. He said costs will go down. You will be able to pick your doctor. Even in company insurance plans, you can't pick your doctor. There are limits on that. He said that you'll be able to pick whatever plan you want. He's overpromising. You can't do all that.
Look, here's our point.
But you agree, he's overpromising.
Well, I can't speak to all of those. I don't know exactly all that he said. He said we will repeal and replace Obamacare with a better system, and one that gives people better access to more affordable choices, and you pick what you want. We're not going to have that. Read his speech that he gave to Congress just a few weeks ago. That speech perfectly encapsulated what we are achieving here. And I think people are missing the historic nature of this. We're taking one entitlement that's going bankrupt, Medicaid, where more and more low-income people don't even get access to a doctor, and we're giving it back to the states so that they can experiment and innovate and make it work better for low-income citizens. Then we're taking another entitlement, Obamacare, which is crashing and blowing up our fiscal problem, and repealing it and replacing it with good tax policy that equalizes the tax treatment of health care and gives people more choice and more freedom. That means lower costs across the board so you can improve access.
I want to get to that, some of that in a minute. The president has said there will be a bloodbath in 2018 if this isn't passed through the House and Senate.
I do believe that if we don't keep our word to the people who sent us here, yeah. Look, the most important thing for a person like myself who runs for office and tells the people we're asking to hire us, this is what I'll do if I get elected. And then if you don't do that, you're breaking your word.